listening to your Psychic Besties podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Psychic Besties Pod. Join us next time for more straightforward and uncensored spiritual guidance. Love, your hosts and besties, Allison and Alana.
Hi, besties. This is Allison and Alana, and this is episode 2. And we're here to give you the full scoop on empaths and intuition. So, both of those words are super cliche. Alana, what do you think about that? Like, what comes to your mind when you hear the word empath?
So the first thing I think about is an empath as someone who just feels more than the average person and kind of takes on the emotions of other people. I am an empath and so are you. So we know a lot about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely what it means to be an empath is being an empath is like you feel other people's feelings and emotions. So like this is how I relate being an empath. So let's say like you have a friend that's going through a really bad breakup and it's like you start to feel like the pain and the sadness.
Right, exactly. You're basically just like feeling those emotions as your own. Like it affects you more than it affects the average person.
Right. And I mean, that's like a lot of shit to handle because I mean, we have our own things, whatever those things are in life that we go through. And so not only that, but that's an additional layer of really like feeling other people's emotions. And again, they're not always the emotions that you really want to feel.
Right. So, okay. So let's talk about some signs that are typical with being an empath, like something that you might experience and you might start to think, well, maybe I'm an empath because all of these things happen to me. So, like, one of the first ones and it's true for me, is crowds are so draining. Like being with a lot of people and all of that different, just chaotic energy because one person is happy, one person is sad, one person is secretly sad, like just a lot going on. And it's just super draining. Like when you're done with, like, get home and you've been with a group of people, you're just totally shot and drained, like on a soul level.
Yes, I could not agree more. And I feel like I've always been like that even as a child. My
Yep. Me
mother
too.
always tells me that like, if there was, my family had people over, she's like you would just dip out and like go in your room and like not even say goodbye. And I
Right.
feel like same because it can be very overwhelming for me energetically being in a room filled with people and just taking on everybody's shit, right?
Right. Exactly. Okay. So that brings me to my second sign. So everyone just seems to come to you with their problems, including
Mhm.
strangers. So, like, no matter where I am, my mom thinks it's so funny. Like, I'll literally be at the grocery store and I'll be talking to someone online and I'll just get like such a deep backstory of their life. They just have like a connection with me that they feel comfortable for some reason, just telling me the deepest, darkest, like, we just met 5 minutes ago. But that happens to me all the time. And then in addition to that, obviously, my friends come to me with all of their shit. And, I'm just a great advice giver. So that's part of it. But yeah,
You
I
are.
def yeah, I definitely get strangers that come up to me and just start spilling their guts. And I'm like, how did we get here? Like, I'm getting groceries. Like, how did this really happen?
So, most of that's relatable, but I feel like yes. So my friends definitely come to me for advice.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have a little bit more of like a resting bitch face than you. So
Really? Because I
I
feel
don't
like I
really
have
get
the
the
worst.
strangers. I don't really get the strangers. I feel like people are just like, we're gonna leave her alone.
I wish because I feel
I
like
don't
that
mean
is
to, but
no, but that is the face that I'm giving off because that's what I secretly would want is to just be left alone. But, you know,
it's
sometimes
that
people just got to
cancer
talk to me.
vibe.
I think maybe it
It's the
is.
cancer vibe. It's the water energy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So number 3, you immediately know if someone who you know is off or like having an off day, even if they're
Yes.
acting as if everything's fine and everyone's like, what are you talking about? They're totally fine. Like they're totally acting normal. But you just know, you have that knowing that something like they're hiding or they're not like telling you everything.
A lot of times we know before you actually know.
Right.
We know that something is off or not
Right.
right,
Right.
before you even know. And I feel like something I have learned is I've always been quick to be like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" And it's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But it's like, I know, like, my intuition
But are
tells
you
me
really
different.
fine? Are you
You're
really?
not. You're
Yeah.
not.
Right.
And, it's like I've learned to not ask that because it's not that I don't really want the answer. Of course, I want to be supportive. I want to be helpful. But again, if you're not evolved or you're not in a space where you're acknowledging it or, it's like
Then they
that
might just get
question.
mad at you too. And they're like,
Right.
well, now I'm not okay because you asked me. But
Right. That question becomes irrelevant and it just makes things weird. So, but I actually have a good one when you're done too.
oh, go ahead.
Okay. So I want to say this is number 4, right?
Okay.
Um, in relationships, I feel like I have always, since I can remember, attracted the emotional dumpster fires,
Right.
the narcissist, the dumpster fires, and the guys with mommy issues, aka wrapped all up, um, men that are unevolved and um, really don't have an ability to give and receive love, or their
I mean,
emotions are
girl,
just
yes,
out of
same.
whack,
But
very
let's
out of
make, I
whack.
think that should be like a whole topic to discuss. So let
Yes.
me just give the other two
Okay.
signs. And then I would love to talk about the relationship between narcissists, which is kind of another overused word, but yes, for lack of a better word, narcissist and an empath, because I feel like that's really a major thing. Okay. So the other two things that you might be an empath that I think of is you're probably an anxious person. I mean, that's basically my whole
That's a
personality
given.
in my mind. And then dealing with certain people, like you just said, like a narcissist, you attract like energy vampires. So you get super drained and you are also at the same time attracting these energy vampires who most of the time could be narcissistic or just like super self-centered people that are attracted to the kindness and the openness of the empath.
Right. It's like they see that space and they just like leech right on.
Right. Yeah, because we're giving them what they need, attention and love and caring and understanding and forgiveness, et cetera, et cetera. But wait, okay, so tell me more about your opinion about like the narcissist in a relationship, just generally like being attracted to an empath, because I think it's very interesting.
So I feel like, since we are so attuned to emotions, I feel like even though we know better, a part of us like gets stuck on like the helping and the fixing, right? Because again,
Right.
when you're an empath and you're intuitive, it's like, okay, so as an empath, it's like being in a space where you're hanging on to the hope of fixing those emotions or
Right.
shifting the narcissism or making somebody have
I can
feelings or
fix him.
compassion.
I can fix
Right.
him. Yeah.
And that's your energy responding and like being in that space of hanging on to the hope. Because if there was no hope, I mean, think about like if you meet somebody and you don't have that like hope or that like fixing nature, it's like
Yeah.
your energy just rejects them and it's like you're literally allergic to them and you run for the hills. Like you cannot
Right.
run far enough away. But it's we hang on to the hope because that's like the shifts in energy that like we crave as an
Right.
empath.
Right. And we also probably give too many chances because of holding on to that hope. So that's why empaths stay stuck in these, I like to say, a parasitic relationship
Yep.
with the narcissist because we're doing all the giving and we're not receiving anything. So, yes, like a parasite, they're just sucking the life and energy out of us. And we just keep giving, giving, giving and like forgiving, forgiving, forgiving. And they love that. They love that attention that they're getting. So they keep coming back. And then it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, and it's super toxic. It is the absolute recipe for a toxic relationship. Where again, somebody that is truly craving love and, like a healthy relationship or somebody in their life that is open, that has feelings, that's compassionate. And hello, that's us.
Right.
So again, that's what they're attracted to. And since we are so open emotionally, it's like, oh, this guy's fucked up, or oh, his mother doesn't love him, whatever. And then it's like,
Right.
oh, okay, we feel bad, and we're like, we're gonna fix it. And again, that's like the space that we
Okay,
stay
but
in for so long.
maybe that relates back to the empath growing up and not being understood for their sensitive nature. So they have like some kind of a soft spot for people that need fixing, or like they want to give that effort maybe that we didn't receive subconsciously. Something like
Right.
that. Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. And like
because
that's
that's
why
relatable. Yeah.
same. And again, I feel like that's why that like being in that space of like giving somebody what they need, right? Or like the illusion of giving somebody what they need is the space that we live in, which is
Right.
Delulu.
Right. But at the end of the day, to sum it up, when you are an empath and you are in a toxic situationship, delusionship, or relationship with a narcissist or a self-centered person who takes and takes and doesn't give you anything back, by the end of it, you are just like a shell of a human, which has happened to me in the past after wasting like basically years of my life with these kind of like toxic situations that I didn't understand. Why did I keep choosing this type of thing for myself? Like it didn't make sense. You know what I mean? It's like, why are we
It
putting
doesn't make
ourselves
sense.
there? No, it doesn't
It
make
doesn't
sense,
make
but
sense.
it's just a thing. It's a thing with empaths. It's just what we do. But not that it has to be that way, because eventually when you know what you're doing, then you can stop it.
Right. And it's really difficult to, again, and everything happens as it should. And, I
Right.
can speak for myself, and I know that, you have similar experiences as I do, but it's very difficult to evolve your gift in a space when, like you said, you're a shell of a person. It's like
Right.
the parasitic relationships drain your spirit, and
Right.
that really robs your connection to your guides, that really diminishes your intuitive gifts, and again, it lowers your vibration, and really at that point you're just a shell. and
Right.
and that's why, like us,
Yeah. But you know what? At the same time, it's not just romantic relationships. It could be a
any
job that you're like, why have I been working here for 5 years and I get no appreciation and I hate my job? Or a friend that you're like, I've been friends with this person for so long. Why? They're just not nice to me, or they're just like sucking the life out of me. And I feel bad after talking to them. Like, why do we do this? It's just something that we do. And it's like something like when you know better, you do better, but
Yep.
it could take years to kind of realize what's going on. So it's not easy being an empath.
No, and it
It's
does
not.
take years,
Yeah.
because even with family, it's like, where it's like, okay, they've been the same, right? It's like,
Right. We're changing now. Right.
exactly. And then as you evolve and you grow and you do open up, and heal and open up your intuitive gifts and align,
Right.
it's like, okay, there's the disconnect, and the gap becomes bigger and bigger, and you notice people's toxic behavior way more, and you just like can't be around it. And it's like, yes, you've been dealing with the same bullshit for however many years. And then all of a sudden, it's like one day you're like, I just can't, even though it's like
Right.
a family member, a lifelong friend, whatever. It's like
Right.
you just can't be in the kitchen. You can't be in the heat anymore.
Right. No. So like you said, like when you're in it, it totally stunts like your spiritual growth, in my opinion. Cause I have noticed like every time I've cut out a narcissistic type of person in my life, like I have like a growth within myself, like within like my psychic abilities, or like you name it, like just being a happier person in general, but specifically like having to do with like spiritual shit, like psychic abilities get stronger when you get rid of that low vibrational kind of energy in your life. So, be mindful of that. If you're an empath, take a look around you, take a look at your job, take a look at your friendships, and be like, am I attracting this soul sucking kind of person too? Is that what I'm doing? Is that why I'm miserable? Because, yeah, it's very possible because I did it for a very long time.
Same, way too
Yeah.
long. And also, back to episode 1 with manifestation, this could be the reason why you are blocking your own manifestations because your vibration is low, your energy drained, and you're just not connecting to spirit at the frequency that you need to be connecting. For
Right.
me, whenever I take out the trash, literally, again, any type of relationship or anything, any situation that is just disrupting the peace, I literally feel so much lighter and so much more inspired. And it's like, I immediately connect to spirit on a whole nother level. And it's like everything else just falls into place. And it's like
Right.
everything around me, I can literally feel it. Everything around me is just happening.
Yeah. So, okay. Basically, to summarize, if you feel like you relate to these qualities of an empath and you just like are trying to grow yourself spiritually, this is like a big thing to take a look at. Because if you have all of these other characteristics of an empath, there's a very good chance that this is a big blockage for you. So, if you feel like you're an empath, just take note of that.
Yes. And something else that I just wanted to mention with your intuition, first of all, everybody is intuitive. I love when people say, like, oh, I might be intuitive or I think I'm intuitive. Everybody has an intuition. Again, it's really just how open you are to receiving the messages and to listening to the messages because your energy will tell you everything that you need to know. The gut feelings that you get, stomach aches, butterflies, headaches, anything, the good and the bad, that is your intuition signaling your body as like a fight or flight response, right? Again, if you're in a crowd of people and you start getting anxiety, it's like
Right.
your intuition
Telling you to
is
get the
like,
hell out
get
of
the
there.
fuck
Yeah.
out of there. Like,
Right.
run
Right.
fast, right?
Yeah.
And that's really just your body's energetic response. So really listen to that. Even headaches, people think, yeah, it's like solely physical. That's a manifestation of your intuition and your energy.
And
And
your third eye chakra being
exactly,
clogged. So
exactly,
big.
which is directly related to your guts and
Right.
your intuition.
Right. Yeah. People ask me all the time, like, how did you know that you were psychic? Or, like, I mean, that's like a longer story, but it basically comes down to trusting the intuition and saying it out loud and following it. And that's the only way you're going to find out is if you actually trust yourself,
Yes.
you know?
And again, confidence, right? Being confident, that is trusting yourself. When you're in some sort of a situation that, again, is lowering your vibration and forcing you to not be confident, it's going to be very difficult for you to trust your intuition if you're not in a confident space.
Right. That's another way to self sabotage your growth.
I feel like I'm the queen of self sabotage, but I promise I've gotten so much better.
Yeah. That's it.
But
You live and
that's
you
my
learn, and then you get
specialty.
loves, and that's it.
Yes. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed episode 2 and us giving you the full scoop on empaths and intuition. And we have so much more in store for you.
Yes, thank you. And if you feel like you are an empath or you have any questions about being an empath, feel free to reach out to us.
Bye, guys. Bye,
Bye.
besties.
See you next time. Hold on.
Thank you for listening to Your Psychic Besties pod. Follow us on Instagram at Your Psychic Besties pod. Join us next time for more straightforward and uncensored spiritual guidance. Love, your hosts and besties, Allison and Alana.